Can you give us a breakdown how many trucks that is? And also, how many trucks were sort of overwhelmed by people just grabbing the humanitarian aid? And finally, on the causeway itself, who's providing security for that causeway? Is it the Israelis? Is it private security? Who is that entity?
Yeah, so a couple things there, Tom. So first of all, I would caution you around getting focused on the number of trucks that are going back and forth from an LSV to the shore, right? I mean, it's a continuous circuit, so the focus is on the amount of aid. The amount of trucks is irrelevant to the amount of aid that's going to be delivered, out into the communities. And again, let's differentiate between the trucks that are taking it from the end of the causeway to the assembly area. It's two different things, right? Once it gets to the assembly area, it will be loaded onto trucks, and that is managed by the NGOs that will then take it off to other warehouses throughout Gaza for further distribution. Okay, so there's that piece. So when I'm talking about over 596 metric tons, that is what the U.S. military has been able to deliver to the end of the causeway and then taken by contractors into the assembly area. In terms of security, so it's a multi. I'm not going to get into super specifics here, but it's multi pronged. You've got the Israelis, of course, providing security on the shore, also at sea, and you also have U.S. military personnel that are able to defend themselves if they needed to, although they're not obviously going onto the shore. And then you also, in the maritime area there, have U.S. destroyers that are also patrolling and able to provide security. So it's a multi step process there in terms of providing security.
Getting back to the metric tons, it would be helpful, I think, if we do apples and apples. If you're talking 90 trucks and you're going to go up to 150, it would just be helpful for everybody, I think, if you just say 40 trucks got in today, 90 trucks.
Yeah, I think what you're, again, so look, as the amount of aid increases into the deliver of the causeway and you start to ramp up the number of trucks that are taking the aid off the end of the causeway and delivering it to the assembly areas, I mean, that's an interesting factoid, but it doesn't change what the ultimate endeavor here is, which is to get humanitarian assistance to the people of Gaza. So, the real key statistic here is how much aid is being brought onto the shore and then ultimately delivered throughout Gaza via the NGOs to the people of Gaza. So, again, we'll continue to keep you updated on that front. I think what you'll see again is as this pier continues to move towards full operational capability, you'll start to see more aid coming in, and you'll start to see the numbers increase in terms of the amount of aid that's brought into the assembly areas.
And lastly, on the truck issue, how many were overwhelmed by Palestinians grabbing this stuff, do you know?
I've seen the reports about civilians along some of the transportation routes out in Gaza. Again, importantly, this is not in the causeway, it's not in the assembly areas, it's out in Gaza. Once it left that maritime marshaling area, I think we can all agree that demonstrates the importance of making sure that we can continue to get aid into Gaza, not only by maritime routes, but also by land routes, and the desperation that's out there. So again, as I mentioned earlier, there's been discussions today to look at how we can get that aid, how the NGOs can get that aid out into where it's needed most. But to answer your question, I don't have the specific numbers. Liz.